Hello, my friends. This is Byron from the BJJ Brick Podcast. Today, we're looking at some books. I had a big old pile of Jiu-Jitsu books, and I was like, wow, I can't review each of these. Just too much. So I'll just do a big review and cover all of them a little bit. Just to give you a little bit of a taste. They're not in any particular order. I took some notes. I went on Amazon to see which ones were available and that sort of thing, and how much they are. And there's a couple of good opportunity buys out there. I've got one that's an absolute stinker, and yeah, some are discontinued and not around anymore. I don't typically haven't bought a book for a little while, but I've been given a few, and I've really enjoyed those. So here we go. We'll start off here. This is Gene Simcoe's No Rules Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I'll try to show it in a way that doesn't have a bunch of glare. Maybe I'll just put a picture of it up. This is, well, I've got a lot of books by Gene Simco. He was one of the more early authors of Jiu-Jitsu books. So it's black and white. It's just kind of instructionals about no-gi Jiu-Jitsu, typically, what they would call Valet Tudo. And you can get it on Amazon for $7.49. It was published in 2005, and it's got 3.5 stars, or it was what it has for the reviews. Looking at it, it's got Valet Tudo stuff. It's got a good history of what Jiu-Jitsu is and how it came to be. I don't know, maybe 10 or 20 pages on history. I remember reading that and really absorbing some of the information. And yeah, it kind of like an early Jiu-Jitsu for MMA style book. This one here, I remember when this one came out. Let's see, you can get it on Amazon for $54, but I wrote down one left at that price, so probably not by the time you're watching this. You can buy it used for $20 on Amazon. It's 4.5 stars. Now this one is one of the first Jiu-Jitsu books that was like, it looked really nice. It's got full color. It's like real, like nice glossy, thick pages. Jacques Machado, Championship Techniques. I don't know if I said that yet. I bought it at Borders for $29 in 2005. So whatever that's worth to you. Jacques has an interesting story. He's missing part of one of his hands and still an amazing championship competitor at Jiu-Jitsu. And so you think of that as being a pretty good disadvantage. So his Jiu-Jitsu and the use of his legs, phenomenal to be able to compete at that level. He's got a good history of him and some of his challenges he overcame and his competition. The competition highlight, basic position, you'll kind of index, taking the back, what's his knee on belly, what's a mount, these sort of things here, basic movement, some solo drills. He's got a lot of stuff in here, and I remember when this came out, this was like, man, this is a great book. It still is a lot of good information. For $54, a bit high. For $20, it's a pretty good solid Jiu-Jitsu book. You could get it used, and it's got just a really nice organized way to have a bunch of Jiu-Jitsu techniques, from guard, butterfly stuff, half guard stuff is on there as well. He's got a lot of interesting and good information there by Jacques Machado. Here we go, Jiu-Jitsu Answer Man. This is not a technique book. This is Roy Harris, and he wrote me a nice little note in there. So that's always nice when somebody takes the extra time there. So thank you, Roy, for that. And so Roy has an interesting history. Very early black belt, American black belt, and he was just in that, got into the niche of answering questions from people in the Jiu-Jitsu community. And so eventually he piled up all these questions into this book, and it's just question after question that when I read it, I'm like, that's a good question. That's an amazing answer. And so this is just good for anybody, from the student who has a lot of questions. They're probably in here, and he kind of has them organized in a nice way. From, let's see, he's got basic questions like, am I stuck in a rut? What are the 5 most important things this instructor can do? He's got a bunch of articles in here as well. And then, he has chapter 1 is basics, and then intermediate questions, like leg positioning on an arm lock. And then chapter 3 is over 40 and 50 Jiu-Jitsu. I do qualify. And chapter 4, miscellaneous stuff, like what are some things you enjoy about teaching, which are most memorable Jiu-Jitsu instructors, just different histories. And then chapter 5 is really fun, some stories from his Jiu-Jitsu time and teaching really all over the world. And then chapter 7 is some resources. I did read this book in its entirety, and I really enjoyed getting through here and learning about him and his philosophies in Jiu-Jitsu. Like I said, there may be some polishing of techniques, but it's basically him answering questions from his fans or community over the course of many years, and putting them into a book, which I thought was really nice. I don't know if I mentioned that. Oh, it's free on Kindle. I did not mention that. And it has 5 stars for the review. And it says, I wrote 2014. Is that wrong? I might have got this. Yeah, 2014. Okay, yep. So if you want to book up just a fun jiu-jitsu read, that's a good one. Okay, here we go. Intermediate Techniques of Jiu-Jitsu, J-U-J-I-T-S-U, The Gentle Art. I remember when I got this book, it was a gift. I don't remember who gave it to me. And I have a bookmark in here that is a piece of a napkin or something. I made it to page 64, which is really pretty good because it's not good. It's kind of the older style. It's definitely not Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's 2 guys standing there. One guy has a knife, and then a couple techniques later, the other guy has a knife, or the other guy has a standing arm bar or arm lock. It's just kind of an older style of book. This is probably the oldest one I have. I got it, like I said, as a gift. It just thumbing through here, more than 90% standing techniques, joint manipulations like wrists. The wrist always seems to be, I really haven't seen any actual groundwork. I do remember reading about angles, and as far as getting off the center line and stuff, that was actually pretty good. But other than that, it's standing. Oh, they have a vocabulary thing here, and not seeing any use in that. It's really more of a language vocabulary where you're learning Japanese words. Yeah, so here it is, Intermediate Techniques. This is volume 2 by George Kirby, and I don't know what the history is now. Published in 1998. I don't know how. This gem here, which I wouldn't feel good about selling this to anybody, just because it's not Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's standing Jiu-Jitsu, classic style Jiu-Jitsu. It's $41.89 on Amazon, and it has 4.5 stars. I don't know how it pulled that off, and I don't know why the price is that high. I think maybe there's just a couple of them out there, and people are holding on to them. Look at that. I don't know what's going on there. Interesting. There's some awful stuff. Don't get this one unless you just want something to entertain or give your coach a gag gift. Okay, Believe and Achieve. This is by Adam Wheeler. He's an Olympic medalist, wrestler, also Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. You can get it on Amazon for $19.99. It has 5 stars, which is an impressive thing for really any book to not. Even great books have 4.5. So 5 stars, that's really cool. Published in 2019. And so, yep, Adam wrote me a little message, and that was very kind of him. Really, this is his story. And so if you're wanting more of a there's a lot of pictures in there. Story of somebody overcoming some hurdles, and it's really a nice look at the backstory or the behind the scenes story of his Olympic story as an Olympic wrestler. and it eventually gets into a little bit of jiu-jitsu. It talks about some of his huge hurdles he has as a child, and tough times at school and home, and just not off to a great start. And he is just kind of that, you know, kind of believe in yourself and keep rising and keep failing, then do it again. And it's a good read. It's a good I don't know. It's a good story, and it ends in the Olympic dreams. So I don't know what else to say about it. More, I would say, of a wrestling book, and more of a maybe even a Olympic history book. But he does talk about jiu-jitsu, and he is a jiu-jitsu practitioner now, opposed to a wrestler. So he's in our community, and he's a firefighter. So bonus points for that, Adam. That one, okay, Jiu-Jitsu University. This, I don't know this, I should have looked it up before. If you type in Jiu-Jitsu book, I think this on Amazon, this pops up as the first finding, for good reason. So Saulo Ribeiro, let's see, I bought it for like 40 bucks back in the day. It's now, you could get it used. You can get it for $24.49, or you can buy it used for $13. I go ahead and recommend picking this up if you want a jiu-jitsu technique book. You can get it on Kindle for $9.99, and it has 5 stars. It's got over 1,000 ratings. That's the most by far. Published in 2008, and I remember when this came out, it was similar to the Machado book. It was like a full color, big text of a lot of techniques. It was very exciting. And I don't know how well this comes across, but there's different colors here. There's white, blue, purple, brown, and black. And so it's kind of organized. Not like it's not really white belt techniques or black belt techniques, but white belt is survival. And then, so blue belt, so it just has different categories. Blue belt escapes. And so they escape from triangle, foot lock. I didn't really cover any of the survival techniques. Survival, hand fighting, misconceptions about doing stuff wrong, nullifying the choke, just basic stuff, surviving knee on belly. So blue belt would be escapes. So I think that's kind of an interesting concept that escapes is next. Everybody wants to learn how to do the armbar, but he's showing how to escape from the armbar first, because that's really what you're going to be doing, especially early on. I don't know, I got a leaf on the table. Okay. Escapes, let me just thumb through here. Purple belt would be guard stuff, so yeah, all things guard related. This looks like, and I can't remember for sure, it's gi. All gi, so take note of that. Purple belt's guard stuff, that's a big chunk of this book. Brown belt's another big chunk. It's passing the guard. And man, for me, that's really what it was. Purple belt, I was a guard player. Brown belt, I kind of made that transition to where playing guard wasn't as fun as it used to be, and I started to pass the guard. And as a black belt, I'm a top game person, so I'm a guard passer as well. I'm happy to work my guard as well. Got some notes in here. It's always good places to put your notes. So yeah, and then so brown belt's guard passing half guard, punch passing half guard. And then, black belt, submissions. So as a black belt, still working on that, but he's got submissions from each different position: mount, side control, back, just wherever you're gonna find yourself. Even some foot lock stuff in there. Yeah, this is a big book. It's 368 pages, color, a lot of really good techniques. If you're able to learn jiu-jitsu via book, this is a good way to do it. And the good thing about this, it's all pretty fundamental, and it's well organized. And I think those are some of the big reasons why this stands atop the heap, although it's not on top of my heap anymore, of jiu-jitsu books on Amazon as far as technique goes. He did a really good job. I don't know what this is. I'm always curious about paper I have in books. It's a receipt from Borders, and it's faded away. Okay. Okay, this book here. Let's do this one first. Oh boy. Okay, this is Gene Simco, The Master Text. And this is, let's see, I don't know what the difference. Here we go. Same name. The Master Text. You guess which one is the Master Text now. So I think this one came out first, and then he went bigger and better, or just bigger. I don't know. I don't remember. This one has 3.5 stars on Amazon for $29.83. It's black and white. It predates books like Jiu-Jitsu University and the Championship Techniques here, as far as techniques go, but still very fundamental. It looks like it's all gi. Did I cover? Let's see. It's the same author as the No Rules Jiu-Jitsu, Gene Simco, but that was all no gi, and this is all gi. And he does. I remember reading this thing and learning about the history of Jiu-Jitsu through here. I thought it was really interesting and really, you know, just everything, like to wear gi or not, and how to wear your gi and how to wash your gi. It's got a lot of basic stuff in here. That, oh, there's some no-gi stuff at the end. Make sure it's not half no-gi. There you go. No-gi to gi ratio, and then there's history in the gi section. Anyway, Master Text here. This is, I didn't write the publication date on that one. I have little notes on the back. This one is bigger, and it's 2002, and it's not for sale anymore. I saw, so on jujitsu.net, if you type in the Master Text and Gene Simco, you could, on Google, not Amazon, you could find this book cover on there, and it takes you to a place that doesn't really exist anymore. The link is basically down. Looks like it was $69.99 at the time. It was published in 2002, and it's just a lot of stuff. It's got yet again, a lot of history that he had in his other book. Just more techniques, I would say. Oh, here's my receipt. Yep. Oh, I got a discount. It was $69.99, and I got somehow $35 off, and then paid $10 for shipping. Pre-Amazon time. I mean, these books, these Gene Simco books, were very early on in my jiu-jitsu learning, and this one. This is the first jiu-jitsu book I had, and I got it the same time I started actually training jiu-jitsu. You can buy it on Amazon for $23.76. There are no reviews on it or anything like that. This is the one I probably will keep. It's very small, and it's called the Student Handbook, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu by Gene Simco. Really simple stuff. With knee on the stomach, the bridge escape, oompa, bicep crush from guard. Okay, he's got a knee bar in here. It looks like it's all basically gi, and I remember looking through here and just, you know, between classes, figuring stuff out and using it as a guide. And the reason I think I like it so much is, you know, I kept the receipt. I got a few things in here. And it kind of just reminds me of when I started jiu-jitsu. And let's see what I got in here. I got my first gi. I put the receipt in here. My first gi with shipping and tax was $108. It got a Atama gold weave, and it was a good gi. Threw that in there, and I don't know, I'm always throwing papers in books. I'm getting notes. So, thought I'd have the receipt for that. Oh, here's a tournament advertisement. Few and far between back in the day. Oh, here we go. This was in Topeka, and I got second place in the gi tournament. No, first place in the gi tournament. No gi. I got third. Yeah. So that was, I don't even know the year on that. It's like 2005. So interesting. I'm always just throwing junk in books. Here's a note. Oh boy, the triangle of jiu-jitsu. At the top is armbar, then there's reversal and choke. So I need to be doing one of those things at all time, either trying to armbar somebody, choke them, or reverse them. And that's just guard work, I guess. And it's just kind of interesting to see. Early on stuff. So this book does have a special place in my heart as far as it was there when I was coming home, beat up, clueless. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have any other resources. I had this book, and I would go home and I would try to figure out what happened to me, and I would thumb through here and find answers. Sometimes, a lot of times. It's a good book. Eddie Bravo, Jiu-Jitsu Unleashed, and I don't know if I had the rubber guard. I don't know where it is. I've got a lot of other books that I just don't know where they are. But this is, I think that rubber guard was called Mastering the Rubber Guard. This is Jiu-Jitsu Unleashed, and I think it was after his other book on the rubber guard. You get it on Amazon for $14.78, or you can get a Kindle for a little over $10. Published in 2006. It's 4.5 stars. I bought it in 2005. Well, that was weird. So I gotta have a receipt in here. It says 2005, but the earliest date I could find in the book publishing is 2006. So I don't know what's up with that. And it's no gi. It's Eddie Bravo showing you basically the twister stuff. I don't think it's a whole lot of rubber guard. A lot of half guard. Yep. Half guard stuff and just it's oh yeah, I remember him saying talking about no gi, but do wear the gi pants because it does slow them down a little bit and absorb some sweat. And I remember thinking that concept, man, that's pretty cool. Groundbreaking. And so it's just organized in a fashion, looks like different positions. Tells a little bit about his story. Yep. It's got, starts off with half guard, rubber guard. It does have some rubber guard stuff. It starts with introduction to Jiu-Jitsu and his career in ADCC. Half guard, rubber guard, twister, side control, the mount, the back, passing the guard, and transition. So that's kind of what that book is. I'm sure all this stuff is really basic to any 10th Planet person and maybe outdated at this time to where they do something different. But at the time, this was Jiu-Jitsu getting unleashed. And it was kind of fun to play that style of a game that was confusing to my training partners. Okay, now this is a workout book. I'm gonna put that down here. I'll just take both of these guys right now. Okay, Martin Rooney, Ultimate Workouts. Get on Amazon, it's $21.44. There's a Kindle version for almost $11, published 2010. It's 4 stars on Amazon. Looks like I bought it for about 30 bucks, is what the price on the back says. So he's a kind of a fitness coach for MMA athletes, and I thought that was an interesting concept. And so yeah, full color, pretty nice book, and it's more MMA style. He's talking about wrestling, he's talking about boxing and jiu-jitsu and neck exercises. And I think he has some stuff in here about diet and eating right. You're eating for, yeah, he has some kind of meal plans in here to, if you need to have a 3,200 calorie meal plan. Types of foods to eat, pull-ups. He's got a guy in here in a gi with some kind of a hammer workout. I never really got into this one. I wish I did. I'm sure there's a lot of good information in here about this. Oh, this guy's doing a jug workout. And of course he's wearing a gi. But I don't know, there's a lot of unconventional stuff. I'm sure they're great workouts. And the big thing I remember getting out of this one, it was like pull-ups, do more pull-ups. I remember reading something on here about pull-ups, I believe, and it was like, yeah, here's a whole bunch of pull-up stuff. Switching hands while you're doing a pull-up. I don't do that. I should give that a shot. Lifting your legs up, doing a pull-up, and different stuff like that. So if you want, looking for something to kind of work you out a little bit, that's an option. And then I have this one, Randy Couture, Xtreme Training. You could buy this on Amazon for $8. That's pretty cool. Published 2010, 4.5 stars. This has 4 stars. I think that's probably about right. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fitness guy in the world. Oh, look at that in the back. He's got a whole bunch of plans. Kind of a weekly schedule. For talking about me, it's very weekly. That was bad. So yeah, this is just Randy Couture, who was known as a really good athlete and an older athlete as well, but always performed well as far as didn't get tired and was able to push the pace on these younger guys, and it was pretty amazing. So when he came out with this book, I was like, yeah, let's see what Randy's doing. And it's kind of just different, yeah, not techniques as far as how to choke somebody or how to take them down, but these lifts here are good for MMA, and try doing this type of jump or basic lift. So good details here from Randy. So I would say either one of these are appropriate if you're wanting to get more fit. What is that? Arm drag drill, that's cool. I think I got these two with the hopes of getting in better shape, but I largely lacked the motivation. Yeah, this one being $22 almost, and Randy's being $8. I think Randy's is the better buy as far as they're very similar. If you own one, you could get the other one and see. I'm sure there's different stuff, but they're both just how to get in shape style of books. This one is Paul Kindzia, Jiu-Jitsu Master Life. How to create an extraordinary life through Jiu-Jitsu. And this is kind of life lessons from the world of Jiu-Jitsu. And what Paul has done is he's interviewed a bunch of people in the Jiu-Jitsu community and then related their story to a kind of a lesson. And shout out to the BJJ Books podcast, that's kind of cool. And what else we got here? So he's got chapters or principles: mindset, momentum, consistency, discipline, principles, processes. He's got a whole bunch of stuff here: ego, goals, visualization, doing your best. And so each one of those, and there's more, he then breaks down with a person. But Paul does a really good job. It's again not a technique book. It's more like the Jiu-Jitsu Answer Man book, as far as, hey, I want to read something about Jiu-Jitsu. Boom, here it is. This is good. $12.99. It's 4.5 stars, and it's also on Kindle Unlimited, which I don't use that, but if you do, I'm sure you know what that means. Published in 2018, and it's got, let's see, Couture's in here. He talks about him. Just really a lot of interesting people in the Jiu-Jitsu world that if you follow the Jiu-Jitsu world, you know who they are. So, and then he'll match them. Kip Dale's in here. Kip Dale's is about continuous learning. I'm just trying to find a couple of names here to give you guys. But yeah, so good book. Buy the actual book for $13, or it's free on Kindle Unlimited, and 4.5 stars on that one. Okay, this one. So this is my surprise. So the one I did not, I don't know why I own it, is this one. It's not a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu book. So that one, the one I probably have the fondest memories of, would be this one, my first Jiu-Jitsu book here. So this one was a shocker, $148 on Amazon. And wow, it's a cool book. But yeah, that's pretty crazy as far as, this was one of the first books I looked up, and it was like, man, are all these books going to be hundreds of dollars or over $100? No, just this one. And that's pretty fun. I don't plan on really selling it, but I could try. I don't know if the market's really moving these books or not, but it's kind of fun. They're all just kind of sitting on my shelf. And I guess I could read through them again and try to get more information out of them. There's a lot of stuff in there I haven't figured out, or I could work on, that's for sure. As far as techniques go, I do think that there's a little bit more long-term value in some of the books that are not technique. As far as for me personally, like where's Adam's book right there? Just the stories, the books that are just interesting, that aren't just techniques, because I think that they aged a little bit better with the internet and with videos. The books that are just, here's my Jiu-Jitsu life, or here's some tips about Jiu-Jitsu, or here's how, to figure kind of life out a little bit through stuff you learn on the mats. I think those are a little bit easier to reread and get information out of. I think a lot of these, if I want to learn X-Card sweep from Marcelo Garcia, I'm going to type that on YouTube and see what I find. But there's definitely some good buys in here, some really good deals that you could find if you're looking to pick up a book and thumb through it and maybe pick up a few new techniques or learn something else about Jiu-Jitsu. So I hope this was fun. I kind of enjoyed rummaging through these and seeing, you know, typing them in on Amazon, see what they were pulling up as, and I kind of had some nice memories on these and lots of different notes in here that I took when I was going through the book the first time. So anyway, hope it was fun. I'd like to see you comment in the notes or in the comments. That's where you would comment and share with me your favorite Jiu-Jitsu books. If you have any of these, what you think about them, that'd be kind of cool. And I appreciate reading those comments in the future. So please do that. We'll see you guys in the next one.